connect and hang out in an informal setting to expand your network. It's as opposed to sitting in a presentation or doing a playground, it's much more casual. And Alice's favorite thing to do is to run around with all the different people she knows and pulling one person by the elbow to another person by the elbow and saying, hey, you two people have got to meet, talk, bye.
I only do that at ISTE because we have a very large crowd. So anyone can post a coffee due, and I would love it if anyone listening, watching would host a coffee due. So just pick a time, date, and location that's convenient for you. Worst case scenario, you're having coffee somewhere, so don't sweat it. Just put out an invite. All educators are welcome, and it is exactly 1 hour to the minute. On the minute, you got to at least say coffee due is officially over. Just take a breath so that those who need to leave can leave. You can keep talking, it's fine, but just give I'll interrupt somebody, like we're doing it on the minute, giving people permission, and they can talk about whatever they want. Now, with a large group, more than 10, I do try to get people to cleave into smaller groups.
Now, I will tell you this. She does say it's over, but I have been to Coffee EDU, and first of all, it is never 1 hour. It is 1 hour officially. But what do educators do? They show up really early. So like 30 minutes before, there are people in the room. And then and she's like, all right, everybody, it's over. And then you see people they have to shoo us. When I was there, the room was being used by someone else. And so they had to shoo us all out. But it was really neat because a group of us actually went out into the city together and continued our conversation. So it's a really great place.
Definitely the conversations continue, but usually when I break for it, most people do disband. And that's it's really, really important that you do give that break, because it's this mentality, like I can give up an hour. And if you think it might spill over, you don't want to be rude and leave. So the next time you're invited, maybe you don't go. So it is really important. It's exactly 1 hour. Talk about whatever you want. So we're doing that tomorrow morning at NEDCO and at ISTE. At ISTE, Book Creator is paying for the coffee. So get there early. I think we booked for 200 people for coffee. I'm expecting probably more than 200. So if you want free coffee, make sure you arrive early. So there's that. Okay, back to the slides. What's next? Summer conferences. So I'm at the NEDCO conference. It's a great conference. It's in a ski town resort. It's beautiful. It's super fun. And there's a great place to get Mexican food. Now, let me preface this by, I lived in California for 30 years. My dad lived in San Diego, and the next exit was Mexico. So I've had some really great Mexican food. So when I tell you that this Fiesta Jalisco up here in Breckenridge is great Mexican food, it is great Mexican food.
Okay, so let me also, I will say, if Alice says that, I believe it. Alice and I have had some food conversations, and as a Southern woman with Creole roots, I am very biased about who can cook and who cannot, and who knows what's good and who's not. Alice impressed me. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Have I made you my carnitas yet, Alice?
That's what we were talking about, and that's what we were talking about.
Yeah,
no,
I got to pull you up. You're not even that far from us. We got a few people watching. We've got Mukesha. Hey, Nicole. Oh, no, you're Hedreich. This is Mukesha. And good evening from India. Glad to have you.
Evening. Where are you in it? Hey, Alfonso. Where are you in India? I'd love to know.
Oh. And so Alfonso's here with us this morning. Welcome. Anybody, please say hi. We'd love to say hello. And Alfonso's going to see us at ISTE. So 7:30 a.m. Monday, June 30th. If you're at ISTE, make sure that you come to Coffee EDU. Okay, yes. So I'm going to put this into the comments. Is alicekeeler.com/carnitas. Carnitas, if you want to make some really great Mexican food. In the Instant Pot. Very good.
And don't hate on the Instant Pot, okay? I haven't had the carnitas, but I'm all about the flavor, and it seems to me that she's got that part right. So I'm just saying.
Thanks. All right, so I'm at this conference, and I asked how many people were here, and the attendance is down. And we know that ISTE attendance is not what it was pre-COVID. I didn't go to BET this year, but last year I went to BET, and it was definitely a lot smaller than it was pre-COVID. So who's going to conferences and why? And why aren't we? Why aren't we going to conferences?
I will say one big factor is probably going to be finances. Teacher raises have not caught up even close
Not
to,
even close.
I mean, between COVID and now what it costs to go to the grocery store. There's a huge difference. You work with Tiller. I'm sure you have some statistics about what that looks like. And for us as educators, our raises have not kept pace.
No,
And
they haven't.
so the and of course ESSER funding's canceled. Schools themselves have less money, so they're not sending people. And the conferences are pretty cost prohibitive
They've
if
gotten
you are,
pricey.
yeah,
They
yeah.
definitely increased more than what inflation has been. And it's, because conference centers have increased their prices and
Right.
but it is pricey. I'm not going to lie.
And if you have to pay on your own and you have to choose between taking your kids to Disney World or even taking them up the street to Six Flags or going to a conference, it's a no-brainer.
Wow.
How do you think, what do you think can change that? I mean, I know a lot of people are offering virtual smaller spaces.
I am really glad that some people enjoy those. Yeah, to me, a conference is less about the sessions as much as it is that just chance to interact with real people and have some conversations and share and to be casual and not feel so stressed. Teaching is really stressful. So I think it's really important. I think it's really important for teachers to get that. As we have a teacher crisis and we just don't seem to want to change the system to make this more palatable. But one thing should be is we value your mental health and getting out and talking to other people and feeling that, who cares what the teachers are doing at the thing? They're interacting with other educators.
Right.
That is energizing and can definitely be a contributor. I hope, feeling like we trust you to go do some learning, bring it back, do something interesting, go somewhere.
You mentioned talking to real people. I'm curious because going to talk to real people at conferences is not something that has it's not promoted because it's so pricey. So I'm curious, what is generally promoted at all school districts is a mental health hotline that you can use and get through. I'm trying to say this with a straight face, okay? I'm trying not to be petty about it. Okay. I'm just curious to know how many teachers actually use those 3 or 4 sessions that they can when something comes up. I mean, I never did. And there were definitely things, even once I was off the campus, once I was at the district, I was still in 5 lockdowns a year, like last year. I'm like, how can I be in 5 lockdowns? How? I'm not on my campus every single day. I'm not on a campus every single day from 8 to 5. How? So I'm curious to know if people are using those things, and if you are, if they help. So
yeah, my husband just got a new job. We all moved to Wichita now, so we're in the middle of Kansas, which is still not Kansas City, which is in Missouri. Don't tell me about Kansas City, Kansas. Anyone who says Kansas City means Missouri. So anyway, we are in Wichita, so irrelevant. And Wichita Public Schools does offer 10 sessions to talk with a therapist. And my husband did sign up. So I don't know. I know when.
You done drove the man to therapy. No,
I did drive the man to therapy. There's no question about that. He's in the back room. Maybe he'll duck in over here and talk about it. But, there's no shame in this. Like, we all need to talk to somebody.
I'm being funny. And I find, especially in the Black community, it is a real thing. Therapy. What's wrong? Nothing. No, it's, you know what I mean? You go to regular checkups with a physical doctor, and mental health is so often a big part of our holistic health. So, I mean, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a big part of what's going on in schools these days. The kids' mental health, our mental health, just the mental health as a society. Like, let's normalize this. Just like you would go get your teeth cleaned. Like, go talk to somebody. If I could make if I'm only allowed to make one change to education, I would put mental health therapists in the schools that's available to staff and students. Like, I know we have counselors, and some of them definitely are trained on that, but their caseload is so busy that they're not doing therapy generally. I mean,
generally they just don't have the capacity. You know what I mean? I have been able to go into an office and cry in my career, but I also felt guilty because I felt there was some kid whose space I was taking up because, you know what I mean? I lost a baby before I had Chris, and I remember that moment. However, I feel like even though they're there for us as well, no, they're there for the kids. We can't take, and the thing about it is, as teachers, we are holding up the weight of the world literally every day, all day. And so if you don't have an actual outlet, if you haven't tried therapy, honey, you better, if school has not yet driven you to therapy, then you are down the wrong road.
Hilarious. I mean, and not hilarious at all.
Yeah.
So that brings us to our next slide, is that being neurotypical is the anomaly. And I'm going to let you just kick that off.
Yeah, if you were here last week, we were talking about neurodivergence, and especially if you are Gen X, probably even an older millennial, there weren't letters behind your name. There were labels. You were lazy. You were chaotic. You were messy. Your handwriting is terrible. All of those kinds of things. You were a dreamer, a daydreamer. Pay attention. And those are the kinds of labels you grew up with, because neurodivergence was not a conversation. Things like highly HSP, highly sensitive persons, or ADHD, AUHD, you were hyperactive. If you were a boy, you couldn't sit still, you were hyperactive. If you were a girl and you had ADHD, nobody noticed, because generally it presents very different in females than it does in males. So the truth of the matter is if you in your mind, look at your classroom and think of how many students would fall into a neurotypical box, a box that is, for, let's say, school forward, school system forward. I sit in my seat, I pay attention, I take grand notes. They're always perfectly organized. I know how to budget my time. I have great cognitive function. My ability to organize is super. How many of your students would you say fit into that kind of a box?
Well, Alice? Some are masking that because, I turned 49 this year. I'm just rounding up and telling people that I'm 50. But it wasn't really until this last year that I really realized, like, I do have ADHD. My son has extreme ADHD, and it's really hard for him because he wants to be a good kid. He wants to be on student council. He wants to be involved, but then impulsivity does something stupid and gets in trouble, and he can't participate, and kids don't want to be friends with him. So I'm looking up all of these videos and things on ADHD, and I'm like, I'm the problem. It's me. I can't, even if something's important, I can't do the task. Like it's got to feel urgent. I've got to, but organization, I make a lot of lists, and I wrote them down on the list, and that's about as far as the list got. I have a lot of lists, just a lot of lists.
Yep.
I did really well in school. Mm-hmm. You learn coping techniques, and I'm a girl. So I learned coping techniques where I did really well, but how much better would I have done if we had some recognition that it's okay to not be typical and have some systems in place to help support that?
Yeah. Or how about the system is one size fit all, and one size doesn't fit all. One size doesn't fit all this. There's just,
I just want to get into that is what we tend to do is we say things like this and then like, well, teacher, you solve it. No. Right. There should be someone pushing into the classrooms, helping to identify these strategies for all the students, not just the kids who have an IEP.
Yep. And I will go as far as saying, if you have high schoolers and you're saying, let's ban phones, let's think about that, because executive function, this thing right here is executive function. Because if you teach students to set alarms, if you know what I mean, you have a test in all right, guys, I taught tech, so I could literally keep an overarching view with kids. Let's go into our app, our school app. Let's look at all your classes. Okay, when do you have tests? Take out your phones. Put those dates in your phones. Now, put an alarm 2 days before, put an alarm 1 week before. Now, you at least, whether you do it or not, but you at least do not run up to school on the morning of the test and go, oh my God, I forgot.
Don't you? I mean, I live and die by my calendar. I put everything in there. I have several calendars. You don't even want to see what my calendar looks like. And I still feel like I'm caught with my pants down all of the time. Like, wait, what? What are we doing?
But you got to admit, it's considerably less than before you had those tools.
Definitely have.
And so we're looking at we're looking at screen time like it's 20 years ago. And we're not talking, exactly. We're not talking about screen time. We're talking about actual tools. Back in the day, you would use an agenda.
Yeah, so, but like I can get to my calendar from my Chromebook. All right, so we will put this hot topic on hold since we have 1 minute left. What is the right role of phones in schools? I am like you. I am pro phone, so we can talk about that. But at the same time, I worked at a district that did nothing about the kids who misused them.
Okay, let me go right there. I know it's time, but the problem is not the phones. The problem is the adults not wanting to be the adults in the room. I'm going to leave that there.
Okay, all right. Again, talking about this another time. We could probably fill up 5 episodes on this. We need a guest speaker to come join us to talk about it. And in fact, I know our friend Vernon, not necessarily on that topic, but I know he wants to join us. So let's make sure that we make that happen. And thank you everyone for joining us for Ha Unmuted, and we'll see you next week.
Happy Monday.